Hello, welcome to episode 45 of the Epic Film Challenge 2, 1,001 movies you must see before you die, 1966's Seconds, directed by John Frankenheimer, starring Rock Hudson, and holy shit, what a film. I feel like I just want to right now recommend this to anyone. Go and watch Seconds. Just go and see it. You owe it to yourself to see this film. It just got released recently by the Massive Cinema Collection, Eureka, who put out a great release. And the film looks great, and it is just, you need to see this film, I think. I'm not saying that you'll like it, but you really need to give it a shot. And yeah, it's hard to, because I really want people to experience this the way I did, without really knowing anything about it, not knowing anything about the plot. But you know, if you want to hear more about the film or you've already seen it, then we'll continue on, and so I will talk about the plot. But if you don't want to be spoiled anything, which I kind of recommend, pause the video and go and watch Seconds. It's a hell of a film that I'd never even heard of before. So Seconds is kind of a weird blend of kind of horror, psychological thriller, and science fiction. And I just didn't know what to make of it. From the opening scenes, I was captivated by the camera work, the cinematography, the opening title sequence, the music. Jerry Goldsmith did the score for this film. And, oh man, it's just great. It really is great. I'm just going to throw it all out there. I loved this film. It's just so different to me. And I really respected the balls that it had with the way that it told the story and with the way that it ended and concluded the story. I just felt like giving John Frankenheimer a round of applause at the end of this. And it didn't really go very well when this film came out, unfortunately. It wasn't received very well. But, you know, luckily, you know, in these days we can kind of appreciate these films in the format of Blu-ray and new screenings, all that kind of stuff. But the plot has this man, this older gentleman, who's kind of between middle age and old age. He's not quite middle age, he's not quite an old age pensioner, but he's getting there. And he's played by John Randolph. And he gets given this message, and he keeps getting these phone calls to go to this place, and it's a mystery as well. You don't know what he's going into, and maybe he doesn't know what he's going into too. But he goes to this place, and it's a place where they give you a new life. They give you a new face, a new body, and you know, you die effectively. They create your death, and they find a corpse that kind of matches the specifications for your body. They make sure it's a death where nothing can be traced with the fingerprints, dental records, anything. And for a decent sum of money, they will give you this new life. And he takes this new life, basically. And that's when Rock Hudson, the actor, comes into it and plays the same part. I love that. I always like seeing a part in a film, a character played by two different actors or even multiple ones, if it's done well. And this was done well. John Randolph was phenomenal, I thought, particularly towards the last moments of his character, of his version of the character being on screen. There's an amazing moment where he's kind of facing the reality of the fact that he's going to do this surgery, and there's someone behind him, a brilliant actor, who's kind of out of focus in the background, sitting there, and he's kind of talking to him and kind of saying, like, you got to do this, you know. And he's like, what have you really got that you're gonna miss? And he's saying, well, I got a wife, you know. We get on well, you know. And then in the same shot, it's about it feels like a 5-minute shot. The guy in the background, he stands up and he walks over and he sits down right next to him. The camera turns, he's in focus, and Randolph's performance was phenomenal as he's realizing how he's basically thrown his life away, based on what he is kind of perceived as what you should be doing with your life. I feel like I muddled that sentence up a little bit too much, but the film is about a lot of things. But one thing I think is one of the key themes of the film is how people can be carried away with dedicating their lives to doing something that they feel like they want, but they don't. They're going along with the status quo. They're going along with what society deems it to be the normal, respectable thing to do. Because this character, he's married, he has a daughter, but he's got a wife who he has no real connection with anymore. He has a daughter who doesn't really care about him. All he really has to show for his life are his possessions, his things, his house, and the material items that, you know, at the end of the day mean very little. And he comes to that realization that he has kind of squandered the time that he's had with his life. And so he goes under this surgery, and he comes out as Rock Hudson, who again is a figure of 50s films, 60s films who I'd never seen before. So again, my first Rock Hudson film. I'm experiencing all these new actors and directors for the first time, doing this series and this challenge. I thought Rock Hudson was brilliant in this film, so good, because I feel like I think he's one of the kind of the suave leading men of the time, and this is a much kind of different role, and we see him trying to acclimate to being in this new body, being this new person. They give him a new career and all this kind of stuff, and they try to make him, they try everything, this company, to make him settle into his new life. He goes across the other side of America, goes to Los Angeles, I believe, but it's a culture change, it's a location change, and it's a body change, and it's a personality change almost. And how does he deal with that? How does he go along with that? How does he make a new life work for him, knowing where he went wrong with the other one? But there's other elements. There's these weird sequences that are very expressionistic. That they remind me a little bit of going back to German silent films almost, like Dr. Caligari. There's this ridiculously impressive but weird and surreal scene back when the character is played by John Randolph, where he has this kind of this weird kind of drug-induced trip, and it's just the way that it's filmed. They have these cameras mounted on the actor, and all these weird distorted perspective sets and stuff. And it's weird because you have those moments that are so wild and larger than life and whoa, weird, like maybe like Dr. Caligari. But Dr. Caligari is like that the whole film. It's weird, and for the majority of the film. In this film, those sequences they are in the film, but they're very short, or they're very they happen, and then we go on to a more normal kind of setup. I mean, the story's still there. The characters are still going through this very outlandish concept of having a new body and a second life. But the moments where you have this really weird kind of where the editing is strange and the cinematography is strange, and even the lenses of the camera I felt they must have been different. I mean, I'm no expert, but things looked different. Not even just the camera angle, but just the way that the lens was and the way that the image was distorted ever so slightly. I don't know. There's just some wonderful things going on behind the camera, or that we're seeing on screen in this film. I watched it on the Massive Cinema Blu-ray. The transfer was phenomenal. I thought Jerry Goldsmith's score was great and just accommodated the feeling of the film, which had this feeling of unease throughout all of it. Brilliant scene where Rock Hudson just gets blind drunk, and I mean, it's a brilliant film. I'm going through all the paces here, and I don't think I've spoiled anything as such. I will do a little spoiler talk at the end because I have to talk about it. But overall, is this a film you must see before you die? Abso-fucking-lutely. Definitely see Seconds. Give it a chance. You might like it, but like, I thought it was brilliant. It's hard to use the word original. It really is, but it felt original to me, and it was just, again, as I always say, it feels like these days. It's like nothing I've seen before. It blended many different elements. I felt like there was horror in there. I felt like there was science fiction in there, but also this kind of psychological thriller aspect as well. It just kind of throws a lot of things at you, and it just seems to really, really work. There's a great scene where Rock Hudson goes back to his wife, but of course she doesn't recognize him at all, and he asks about her husband, which is him, and what she thought of him, because that she'd never really talked to her husband about that, and so he gets that kind of second-hand account. And I just like that idea of kind of going to someone who maybe a loved one or a friend, but going to them, the ability to go to them as someone else and say, what do you think of him? And getting the full unedited treatment, and getting the full opinion someone has of you. It's quite an enticing, if scary, thought. I like the way that played out in the film. And the ending was just like, I had to take my hat off for that. I mean, I don't wear hats, but if I had one on, I would take it off with no hesitation to the ending of the film, for sure. So, yeah, it's a film you must see before you die. Thank you for watching. If you don't want to be spoiled, now we're going to head into a very short spoiler section. Yeah, so at the end of the film, Rock Hudson, he goes back and he's like, oh, I want a new body, I need to start over again. And they're like, okay, fine, yeah, we'll do that. We'll send you into the next line, the next part of the process. And of course, I was starting to feel like they're going to kill him. that's gonna junk him, you know. And the creator of it is like, well, you know, we have our mistakes and we got to own them and just try better next time and stuff. And all the time, Rock Hudson, it isn't clicking in his head that they're done with you. They are going to terminate you. So they put him on the bed. They strap him in. Oh, it's just to make sure you don't fall off. And then the priest comes in and reads him his rights, and he suddenly realizes what is going on. And holy shit! I mean, again, Rock Hudson, phenomenal performance. He goes through the ringer in this film, and especially at the end, and he is fighting this the way you would expect someone to fight something if they were tied down to a bed and they're about to be killed. Like, such an intense ending. The editing, the camera angles, just it was a real striking ending. And how does it end? They kill him. Done. Finished. Credits. Wow, like that is an ending to a film where you don't kind of go, oh, well, maybe people won't like that, or oh, maybe this won't be a popular move. You stick to the intention of the story. You stick to the framework of the story that you've built around it. There's another brilliant scene. He's in the film for a very short period of time, and he's the main character's old friend who went through the same process, and he's waiting in this room to go on to the next step. And there's just this moment where they're talking with each other, and you just see these tears welling up in his eyes, and it isn't overplayed, but there's just so much there behind the face, behind the eyes, and just great performances in this film. And the ending was just like, you know, it was horrible, you know, it was a real downer, but I just had to almost clap for Frankenheimer just committing to the, you know, to the truth of the story that it was, you know. There was no way he was going to get out of that, and he was fucked, and he was going to die, and that was it. So, you know, I have to give so much credit to that, you know. But it's one of those films that has a really down ending, but I can't wait to see it again. You know, it's not like a Requiem for a Dream, which we're going to have to get to at some point in this series. Fucking hell. I'm not looking forward to rewatching that film. But yeah, Seconds gets full marks from me. Love the film. Thank you for watching.